Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of What's New in Prisma. First of all, even though we're halfway through the month, Happy New Year. I hope you're all doing great. And if you're watching us live, please drop a hi in the chat. Let me know where you're watching us from. So, today's stream is going to be fairly short and it's jam packed. First of all, we'll go over the release notes version 3.8.0 that went live on Tuesday. After that, we'll cover a little bit on full text search. I hope you guys are excited about that because I am excited about it because it's really interesting. And then we'll bring up our special guest today, Yasin, who will talk to us about his exciting open source project built with Prisma. And then after that, we'll have a few shameless plugs and some time for Q&A. All right. Let's jump right into it. I'll go ahead and share my screen and we'll go over the release notes. Give it a moment. Release notes. And I'll update the slides. Awesome. So what's new in Prisma? Well, no pun intended. First of all, we have one major feature that dropped on Tuesday and two fixes. We now support full text search in MySQL, and you can also use it with the indexes, which was released about in 3.5, if I'm not wrong, but feel free to correct me on that. So you can now use full text search, which we'll cover a little bit in the next segment of this stream. And as you can see, first of all, in your Prisma schema, you will define your string field column in your database, and which you can apply an index. So in this case, we have a model post with a column or field called title, which is of type string, and we are applying an index to the title field. And then there is a slight difference between the way you query using full text search in Postgres and MySQL. And as you can see, for words that you'd like to be queried, you have to add the plus sign to it. And for the not operator or words that you are querying for, you add the negative such. So let's say we have the quick brown fox jumped over the fence. If we are querying through that, the plus sign means that we're looking for the word cat. And if the sentence or the entry in the database contains fox, we wouldn't want that column to be returned. So we have another fix and improvement on the data proxy. So this was a problem from previous releases where when folks try to use the data proxy with interactive transactions, their queries fail. So right now, when you use both preview feature flags, you'll get an error when your Prisma client is being generated, and you'll have to opt into one and out of another, if that makes sense. Yes. And finally, we made a fix for push when you have an array element. Yes, using the push property. All right, so let's jump into full text search. I'll stop first sharing my screen. And that isn't working. So what is full text search? This is a topic I've been exploring for the last few weeks. Full text search is a way to query your databases or query something using natural language. So take the case of when you're querying, when you open on one tab Google or DuckDuckGo or your preferred search engine, and you type how to cook an omelette with fillings, for example. So the way Google does is that it, with full text, sort of uses full text search. I could be wrong. Feel free to correct me on that. So with full text search, when you make a query to the database, it does a bunch of things to your query. First of all, it breaks down search query, which is how to cook an omelette with fillings, into something called tokens. So meaning the sentence will be broken down into different words, if that makes sense. So it will be how to make an omelette with filling. So those are the different tokens in your statement. And then the next step is the lexical analysis, or the stemming, which means that, first of all, anything that is in uppercase will be converted to lowercase. Secondly, it will remove stop words, and stop words are words that are so common that it wouldn't make sense to search for them. For example, articles like an, the, how, sort of, and such words are so common, even again, searching through them just doesn't make sense. And then the last thing is that when making a query is stemming. Stemming means that your query is broken down into a word, is broken down into its base form. So for example, if you have the word cooking, it will be reduced to cook. And if you have the word eaten, it will be reduced to eat, sort of. So let's take a look at an example of such a query. I'll be using table plus and executing a raw query. I'll explain the rest on the go. Hold on tight, I guess. I hope you'll follow with me. So I will share my screen again and be ready for an infinite loop as I prepare for things. Oh, wait, the infinite loop is not yet there. Select the screen, bring it up to the stream. Then, yes, so we have a query here. TS vector is a special function that Postgres provides that converts a string or a sentence or your text into a data type called the TS vector. And the TS vector is now the special data type for full text search. So in this case, we have the sentence, how to cook an omelette with fillings. And as you can see, we have the capital H here, and we have a few stop words, and we have the word fillings. So in this case, sadly, you can already see the result. But yeah, if we execute this query, we can see that over here, if we could highlight that, we get three words are returned: cook, fill, and omelette. So yeah, maybe I might have misspelled omelette, but I'm not exactly sure how it's spelled. So yeah, so as you can see, what TS vector did is the stemming, and it converted this to lowercase, even though it wasn't returned. Guess this is a stop word, and this was also returned to its base form, and that's pretty much it with full text search. So the next question is, how is it different from the like or I like operator that the database providers offer? And the answer to that would be that with full text search, it aims for precision, recall. And recall means that it will go through all the records that you have in your database, and it will look for all, yes, I now can hear myself repeating myself. So it looks for all relevant documents, if that makes sense. So meaning that even though with normal text matching, which is the like or I like operators, it aims for accuracy, meaning that if you search for now the word feelings and feel occurs, the word with feelings with feel will be skipped. So this one aims for a higher precision, meaning it will return, it will have a low recall, meaning also that the number of false positives will be lower with the text matching. So yeah, we are also working on an article on that, which will probably go live next week or the week after, which goes further into it. And the next question I would ask myself, or you would ask, is how is full text search important? And well, if you're working with a database already, I think it's the simplest way that you can add search to your website, and it has, there's no infrastructure required for this, and it's rather a low cost. You can also add indexes and it makes it fast. It's like adding Google like search to your website. So let's compare sort of accuracy and recall of text matching and full text search. Sorry, I'm all over the place, and I will infinite loop again. So let's take our search query, how to cook an omelette with fillings, and let's compare sort of text matching and full text search. So uh, first of all, by the way, if you would like accurate results, meaning that Google will look exact results, you usually wrap your query around in question, sort of the quotation marks. So we have this query, which is an almost a representation of text search. I mean, there's text matching. So, and as you can see, Google's fast response here is that no results were found for how to cook an omelette with fillings, but it returns a few possible suggestions. Now, this is how text matching works. It looks for everything, like it matches your query to whatever records are in your database. However, with full text search, if I remove the quotation marks here, you can see that we have a ton of options. We have 144,000. I think this is the European or German system. We usually use commas, but yes, we got 144,000 results, unlike the previous one, which we got no results, even though we got possible results. So this is sort of one way of describing the difference between um, text search, text matching, and full text search. I think text matching and text matching and text search, yeah, they're two different things. Yes. Sorry. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, by the way. Yes, and now we'll go ahead and introduce our speaker, Yassine. I'll bring him to the stream. A moment
Hey,
as I... Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
Give me a moment to change the screen. So yeah, welcome to the stream. I think it's your first time joining us.
Yeah.
Yes. So could you give a little introduction of who you are, where you're joining us from as well?
So I'm Yassine. I'm from Egypt. I'm addicted to open source and really obsessed with creating software that improves developers' experience. Lately, the main things that drives me is when I see
Mhm.
a main developer experience. I
Mhm.
enjoy working with TypeScript, React, GraphQL, and Prisma, of course.
Okay, so it sounds you see a problem and you fix it
Yeah.
using TypeScript. Ah, okay. So let's discuss what brought you onto the stream. The Create Prisma generator. What is it, and what motivated you to build it? Oh, yes.
So it is a CLI like Create React app to bootstrap a Hello World Prisma generator
Mm-hmm.
with just a single command from your terminal.
Okay.
And so the story behind this CLI is that I was building my Prisma generator, which was to generate type GraphQL class types and enums from Prisma schema to solve the two sources of truth issue with GraphQL and Prisma.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Unfortunately, I didn't have a smooth experience when I was developing my generator. There was a lot of undocumented APIs and no resources at all on how to get started. So, but that was actually pretty reasonable because Prisma has brought awareness everywhere that the APIs used to build Prisma generators like Prisma SDK, for example,
Mm-hmm.
are internal APIs that are not meant for external usage and might break with any release. So I immediately noticed in, that to solve this problem, it must be a community thing. So I started digging really hard into Prisma's code base to
Mm-hmm.
collect every bit of information I can find
Mm-hmm.
so that I can be well capable to document some APIs, make a blog to help
Mm-hmm.
developers get started, and make a CLI to bootstrap a new Prisma generator.
Okay, and for
And that's pretty much
folks
it.
who do not know yet, I think you created a library, the one that you mentioned for similar to type GraphQL.
Mhm.
Let me look for the link and share it in the chat. It was an interesting library. Yes, Prisma type GQL types generator. Yes,
Yep.
awesome, awesome stuff. So, are you ready to give us a demo of how I can create one?
Yep.
Cool. Share your screen.
So can you see me now?
I can see it. I'm adding into the stream, changing the nameplates, zoom in a little bit.
Should I start? Sorry.
Uh, Zoom in a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. So so we just open a new terminal where we want to bootstrap a new project. So I'm gonna go with
Mm-hmm.
development, web development, Prisma, and I'm gonna open a new terminal.
That's a lot of
So
project.
just type yeah. So npx create Prisma generator. And by the way,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's recommended to use npx and not install it as a global package because npx will always pick up the latest version available.
Yeah, okay.
So let's hit enter. It's taking a bit too much, a bit
This
too
is
long.
where we start the small talk, asking about how the weather is as we wait for the npm install.
It's good.
How's the weather?
It is good.
Cool. Cool. I think your
So,
screen might be frozen. It could be just me. Um,
no, it's good, but
oh,
my
cool.
internet is
Cool.
pretty slow.
Let's just wait.
Oh
We have
wow.
all day. Yeah. In the meantime, I'll also share in the chat the link to the project for folks who are interested in it. What else counts as small talk? Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Too slow.
Yeah. Do you have an existing project that you already generated?
I don't know actually. Create Prisma generator. I spelled it correctly.
Okay.
This has to be an internet thing. Let me check real quick.
No problem. Again, if you have an
Yeah,
existing project you generated, that could also work.
yeah, yeah. It's from internet. It cannot
Okay.
even
Mm-hmm.
well, cannot even open GitHub.
Huh.
So as for Plan B, I will
Mm-hmm.
use the local version.
No problem.
Web development, Prisma. the actual code base for the CLI. So I'm gonna go here
Mm-hmm.
and cd into packages, CLI usage, and type medium CLI. So it's now working. So it first needs some information about our generator to bootstrap it. So first of all, it needs a generator name. So we will give it like mygen. And yeah, of course, um, Prisma recommends using this naming convention. I saw this recently in the community generators section in Prisma.io. So I'm gonna use the skip check flag, but you don't want to use that.
Just out of
Um,
curiosity, what does the skip check flag do?
this checks the validation of like using this naming convention, Prisma generator hyphen custom name.
Okay.
Because if I open or no internet, yeah. So
Okay.
do I want to use TypeScript? Yep, I'm a big fan.
Mm-hmm.
Which package manager do I want to use? So I'm gonna go with PNPM because it is the fastest and has
Yes.
the best workspace implementation in my opinion. This is actually pretty cool. It is
Mm-hmm.
automate publishing the generator with GitHub Actions. So if you have published any packages before to npm, you would know that it is roughly or exactly or sometimes exactly the same CI configuration that is used to automate publishing the package to npm. So I thought it might be cool to add it as a bonus feature for folks out there who want to maintain their projects on GitHub.
That's very
And
thoughtful.
currently, GitHub Actions is the only CI available, but you can add support with it to like Circle CI and Travis if you want. I've included contribution guides and architecture.
Okay. Cool.
So I'm gonna go with yes. So now we have GitHub Actions set up for us that which automate publishing the package to npm, but there is still an annoying problem.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Before you would commit your changes, you have to modify or increment the version in package.json before committing, because BMBM prevents you from overwriting a target version uh, after it has been released. So this option comes to the rescue. It sets up semantic release, which is a very cool project which provides automated version management. You can look it up on GitHub. It's very cool.
Awesome.
So it decides the next version from the your commit messages, and it do a lot of cool stuff. It updates the package.json version, generating a change log, publishing a
Mm-hmm.
GitHub release, and a lot of other things. So I'm gonna go with yes. And this is the last option. This is for setting a workspace for local development for the generator. So if you say yes, it will set up a workspace following your package manager implementation,
Mm-hmm.
and you will have like packages and generator package and a usage package, and the generator package will be symlinked with the usage package. So you will, when you run Prisma generate, you will always get the latest compiled code of your generator. Did I explain it correctly?
You did. You did. Yes.
So I'm gonna go with yes, and let's watch.
Mm-hmm.
So every step that is happening is done by a tiny CLI. So there is a main CLI and other small CLIs that are responsible for setting up different things. So you will always download what you asked for, and nothing more and nothing less.
That's really cool. That's really cool.
Now
Well,
it's setting up.
it could also help, like, folks who want to publish a package for the first time, just looking at the actions and the workspace, just the entire setup of the project seems could help first time
Yeah.
open source maintainers, yeah, or contributors. Yes, authors.
The problem is
Mhm.
I don't have a proper internet connection, so BNB is trying hard to download the packages.
And you can always keep that option for now. The good thing I think with PNPM is that it also caches the packages
Oh
locally,
yeah,
right?
uh,
Yeah.
there is an option to download the packages offline if I have downloaded it before, but
Hmm.
I don't remember it actually. BNB.
Okay. Eh,
No.
there's no pressure. There's no pressure.
So I'm gonna cd into mygen
Hmm.
and run BNB on I, which is the last operations that failed.
Hmm.
You can just skip it and look for the code.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with
Could you pause a
create
little
Prisma
bit?
generator.
I think on my end, my screen is still frozen on the progress for the PNPM packages. Oh, now I can see
Mm,
the
you see?
folder. Yes, yes, I can.
So I'm gonna go to
And
CLI usage.
sorry to interrupt again. In
No, no,
case bandwidth is an issue, you can also turn off your video. Yeah, to help.
that. Okay, okay. Sorry.
It's all
Um,
good.
so this is the setup that this CLI has generated for you. So first of all, what the Hello World Prisma generator looks like. So let's cd into packages usage.
Hmm.
And we just have here a sample prisma.schema that just have the custom generator, which is linked here, and
Hmm.
a simple user model with some enums. The problem is
Moment.
I need to,
Sorry again. The
sorry,
screen on my end seems to be
no
frozen
problem.
on the folder.
Am I good now?
Yeah. Not yet.
Am I good?
Not yet. Oh, it's still
Okay, I'll
frozen
wait.
on the Windows.
Mm, is it good now?
Not yet. Not yet. Sadly, yeah. One option could also be resharing your screen, perhaps. You stop sharing, then share it again. Yeah.
Okay. Um,
Moment. You can see your screen. I'll bring it to the
can you see me?
stream. Yes, now I can see it. All good. Yeah.
So we're now in the usage directory in the
Mm-hmm.
schema.prisma. Here we have the custom generator
Mm-hmm.
and a simple usage user model and some enums. So first of all, we need to install the dependencies, I hope.
Let's not I'll put our feet on the demo gods right now with internet issues.
Oh God.
Cool. Could you expand on the generator folder?
Okay. So this is supposed to generate a types directory, which will
Mm-hmm.
generate TypeScript enums from this Prisma enums.
Okay.
And the generator folder
Mm-hmm.
has like a constants, which have your generator names that you have name, and
Mm-hmm.
the generator code is like we're using the generator helper, which gives us a simple API, contains like simple callback functions. So on
Mm-hmm.
manifest is a callback function that is called
Mhm.
by Prisma SDK to get some information about the generator, like what engines does this generator depends on, what Prisma generators does it depend on, and version default output as the fallback if the output config was not
Okay.
provided, and a pretty name to show as a success message after generating.
Mhm.
And so the second callback method is onGenerate. And here you will get the options as a parameter. And this contains everything like a lot of information like DMMF and all of the generator configs, all of the other generators. You can inspect it.
Mhm.
So we
So
have
let's
like,
also
oh,
pause for a moment and explain sort of from a high level overview. So from my
yeah.
understanding, the Prisma schema is
Mhm.
also like it's a unique syntax on its own. And with all programming languages, when you are parsing a file, it generates something called the AST, which is the abstract syntax tree. Uh,
Yep.
could be
It's
wrong.
called DMMF. Yeah, yeah,
Yes. No, the abstract syntax tree in this case is the DMMF, right? Which
yeah,
is just like a metadata about your schema, right? It
yeah.
knows
This
you
is
have
like
this
the
number of
parsed,
models. Hmm.
this is like the parsed Prisma schema.
Oh, cool, cool, cool. Awesome.
So we're just looping over the enums from the DMMF we got from Prisma SDK,
Mm-hmm.
or it actually got from the Rust binary, but Prisma SDK passed it to us. Um, Now we're using the gen enum helper function,
Mm-hmm.
and let's inspect what it looks like. So
Okay.
it takes the enum info, like what is the name for it and the values, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just two lines of code that's responsible for generating the types, the TypeScript types.
Okay. Just sort of
So
curiosity, can we
very
see
simple.
what's generated
Mm,
if we run the generate, if there's a generate method? Yeah.
yeah, just I need first to install the dependencies because this cannot be
Oh,
run without Prisma SDK and like, generator helper.
yeah, okay.
Oh,
And also just to add on that, as we wait for the install uh, to finish up, the generator is what's added in your Prisma schema. For example, when you use Yasin's library Prisma type GQL generator or type GraphQL on Nexus Prisma or any generator that's available, it's when you run npx Prisma generate, the Prisma client, also another generator,
yeah, the dominant
generates,
one.
yes, generates a Prisma client. And now your generator, which will be on the Prisma client, will generate its own stuff. Sort of same way we have the generator that generate that. You know what? We should have a counter for every time we say generate, because we're saying generate a lot of times. Yeah.
Yeah,
So your generator would create uh, its stuff, whether it's this one that outputs like what's it
TypeScript
called?
enums.
Not the TypeScript enum specifically, but the entity framework, not entity framework, entity relationship diagram between your different models. Yes, like the prismalizer.app. Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. Awesome stuff, you see.
So
Hmm.
so this is the right location. We just retrieve the option
A
with
moment
the
to
output
pause.
option.
Moment to
Yeah.
pause, given that we're struggling with internet here. Could you please reshare your screen again? Because it's on my end, it's
Okay.
frozen on the generate handler. Yeah,
Okay. I'm gonna open the webcam too.
cool.
Can you see me?
Um, yes, I can see you. Adding a screen to
So
the stream. Yes.
yeah. So this right location, we're just retrieving the output option from the
Mm-hmm.
provider. So like here, we give an output option.
Mm-hmm.
So we're saying that we want the generated files to be in the types directory. It's a relative path to the Prisma directory.
Mm-hmm.
And so if this output config was not provided,
Mm-hmm.
the fallback will be used, which is generated.
Okay.
And so we're using the write file safely, which is a utility function that comes, sorry, a utility
Yep.
function that comes with the project. So how is that different from the file system write file?
Mm-hmm.
So like um, if you if you write a file to a specific location
Mm-hmm.
and there were missing directories, it will fail. So this is
Okay.
a safe version to make the
Mm-hmm.
directories that are missing before writing the actual file.
Okay.
And we're not just outputting the content. We have like a format file. It is a utility function, very simple, just using prettier to make it pretty.
Okay.
And that is pretty much it. It's very simple. And you
Awesome.
have
Awesome.
testing environment using just
Mm-hmm.
like, and I cannot even run it because it just is not installed. Oh God.
No, no problem. No pressure. No pressure. But still, that was an interesting demo. At least I now know how to go. I'll hopefully tonight I'll go create my own generator, my fast generator. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
The most interesting part is
Mm-hmm.
it's generated this cannot show is they generate part like
Mm-hmm.
the types directory,
Mm-hmm.
but unfortunately I cannot show it.
There'll always be a next time. Yeah. There's no pressure. If internet is a challenge, it's a live stream. Stuff fails.
Okay.
That's okay. Yes. Awesome. So, if there are any questions in the chat, we'll stop sharing the screen now.
Okay.
Yes. So, where else can people find you, Yasin?
On Twitter and on GitHub, on like Yassine Deep on GitHub and on Twitter at Yassine Deep 7.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for joining us on this stream, and I hope to see you next time.
Okay.
Ciao. Okay. So, we're in the last two bits of the stream. So, if you have your questions, and I am realizing I'm getting out of focus with the camera. Um, Not sure how this works. Anyway, give me a moment. You know what? Going to fix it next time. So yeah, a few call to actions for everyone. Going ahead and share my screen. Hopefully this time it's the right one. A few call to actions. We have a GraphQL Berlin meetup coming up on the 25th. Give me a moment to open it. Awesome. So yeah, so we'll be hosting the next GraphQL Berlin meetup. We have a couple of awesome folks joining us, such as Jamie Barton from GraphCMS, our very own Jason Kurt, and Matteo Colina. We'll have topics such as federating the content layer with GraphCMS from Jamie. Jason will talk about Nexus. Matteo Colina will cover GraphQL caching. He is the author of Mercurius, if I'm not wrong. And I hope to see you then. It will all be online and RSVP, and I will share the link for it in the chat as well. I don't want to forget that. Finally, the last call to action is that we have new documentation. I have no idea what screen is being shared right now. Yeah, no, I'll just share the window. prepare for the infinite loop. Lastly, we have new documentation on getting started with planet scale, which should be interesting for most folks. Hopefully, we see more folks starting their projects with planet scale and Prisma because it's an exciting technology. So if you'd like to try it out, just go to the tech switcher, select planet scale, and you will have the right tutorial for adding or using planet scale with Prisma. Cool. That marks just about it. Are there any questions in the chat? I'd be happy to answer them. Cool. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next release. Ciao.